And here we go. So good morning, Kath, and everyone, anybody else that might be coming at whatever time of day you can make it to do some really restoring self-care, not a lot of effort to this type of practice, but a lot of really deep benefits for all of the systems of the body, the rest and digest, the nervous system, the cardiovascular system, just giving it all permission to take a break. And just before I start the class, I just want to mention that you might see, here comes Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. So you might see a body move through the space. I'm here in Collingwood with my son, who's right now on a call down in the basement. So he may come up and hopefully be quiet. And also I've had a little bit of trouble with the Wi-Fi connection here. Hopefully it's fine. But if for some reason the class bops off, just hang in with me and stay for a few minutes and I'll try to come back on. But so far, so good. It's this very random issue. And so this morning, I have things set up. Also, another heads up is, although it's not an active class, we're going to start lying down. We'll do a little bit of standing, but it won't be effortful. And that'll be early in the class, and then everything will be down on the ground. So it's good to have a few props for this class to support your body. I have a strap or a scarf, a bathrobe belt, a long sock, anything that you have like that. And if you have a bolster, that's fine, or a couple of any sort of pillows will do. You can be creative in how you set those pillows up. I want to start by encouraging or inviting the collarbones to widen a little bit and the heart to open. So I've made myself with a blanket pillow for the head. You might do it differently. Just want the head to be a little bit higher than the heart so that there's a pathway that's easy for the breath. And then I've got my pillow lengthwise. You could also have it widthwise, or maybe you just have a plain square pillow. Doesn't matter. Something so that you can come down on your back and position that support, or you could just have a rolled up towel there so that because it is a pillow and not a block. If you like using blocks and you have those, you can use a couple of blocks, one for the head and one for the upper back. But otherwise, adjusting whatever's supporting your head so that you don't feel like you're dropping way back. And then the legs could be long. If you have an extra pillow and you want to tuck it underneath your thighs instead, then that might be what would be described as the rolling brook. You'd have those undulations. We're really going for something like that. So dive in here with a lot of respect and inclination towards having some interest in friendliness towards this body right now and setting it up so that there will be ease for the breath and the spine. I will start the class with vibration, just a ding of the gong, of the bell, so that can just set the tone, the habit, and in your own field of hearing, you can tune in or allow that vibration into your body for just however long as it does resonate. So here we go. Officially entering this sacred space or transitioning from whatever has been going on for you this morning or this week, this life so far is all in the past. And anything that's on the agenda for later in the day that may be beckoning for your attention, and of course we'll will be coming to distract or to call you forward into that. Just also letting that be okay to be floating there, but not to have to feed or get involved in any planning. And we're not trying to force anything, so there's nothing wrong or that needs to be corrected when we notice that these stories or these thoughts and critique and planning are happening. That is the practice. That's the beauty of noticing or feeling the emotional tone of whatever's rolling through. Not gripping or holding on to anything too tightly. So the first step is to feel into the body, into the ground, into the deep roots of support that are moving up to support your head, the back of your heart, your hips, some aspect of your arms. You might just notice here where the hands are landing, the backs of the palms are on the ground or the palms. Maybe the shoulders are tight. Or maybe the hands naturally want to be somewhere along the body. That's fine. Scanning down through the lower limbs for any areas of tension that might be apparent in the hips or a sense of imbalance. Feeling what's here in the legs and the calves, the soles of the feet. And that could include feeling nothing much, allowing the attention to move across the top of the body, the top of the feet, the ankles, shins, knees, upper thighs, the pelvic bowl, the belly. Moving the awareness up to the shoulders, the face, checking in with what's here in terms of an expression. Maybe some lines of concentration that are still gripping from focusing on the screen this morning. Noticing as we scan through the physical structure that is ours, we can inhabit that structure fully. Noticing the breath as it's passing in and out through the nose. Sensations of breathing that are here. No need to apply any breath rhythm or exercise, just a natural, organic flow. Can you rest your attention right in the center of the chest now and take some of the breath awareness to that area? Literally using some creativity, imagining the breath is coming right into the heart center. I like to have the visual of the breath coming in through the back body. It's the source of prana life force coming in through the back of the heart. And exhaling through the front of the heart out into space, into the universe, that uplift. And then breathing back in through the front of the heart. And exhaling out and down through the back of the heart into the center of the earth, those deep roots. Breathing in through the back of the heart, right into the center of the chest. And exhaling out through the front, out into space. Breathing back in through the front of the heart. 3-dimensional breath, and then exhaling down and spreading out through those deep roots. Take a few more breaths like that, only if my suggestions resonate with you. So if there's pushback to instructions, just notice that. Work within the realm of what feels good and makes sense in your body today. Let's rub the palms together now. And do this for a little while. Noticing if one hand kind of takes more ownership than the other. Just having some lightness about it, feeling the warmth and heat. Start to move to the surface of the palms. Resting the palms somewhere on the head. So it could be the forehead, the sides of the head, doesn't matter, just to feel the transfer of heat and energy and encouragement to let the thinking mind drop into the background. There might be some feedback, some exchange as well, maybe a pulse that's coming from the temples. And then rub the palms together again. Let that go for a little while. Keep it moving. Just feeling your own rhythm and vibration here. And let the hands come to rest now somewhere on the chest. Exchanging some tactile feedback with the heart center, the muscle to pump this organ that does so much to keep our bodies alive and moving and that we take for granted. And one more time, rub the palms. Just feeling that friction. And resting the palms somewhere over the abdomen or lower lungs area. So the arms are relaxed and the elbows can be on the floor, or noticing the breath moving in this area. And the hands resting across the digestive organs and all of those processes that are autonomic and happening again pretty well without our intervention. Release the arms and take a big stretch out. If you can keep the supports underneath your body for another moment, just stay with that. If you need to roll to one side, you can do that as well. Arms are reaching back beyond your space with the palms facing each other. Bringing the hands to rest on opposite elbows for a moment there, and hugging the ribs or knitting the ribs down. Feel still there's some space underneath the low back, but just a bit more widening of the gills. And exhaling there. Releasing the arms and sliding the hands behind the back of the skull. Bring the elbows wide and just curl it up just a little bit so you're looking towards your feet. Either roll over to one side, we're going to come forward, or just bring the elbows and forearms down and press yourself up. Have the feet come into meeting each other and take the hips back so there's a long diamond shape here. Press off the fingertips, loop the shoulders up and around and send the heart towards the feet. Pressing away from the fingertips, and then let the hands come just to rest over top of the shins or on the feet themselves, or you can bring in one of your pillows or bolsters to rest your elbows on, and the forehead might land somewhere there. Any configuration with the arms that gives you some ease in the spine. My elbows are landing on a pillow, and it seems to make sense to place thumbs between the eyebrows and just pull up a little bit there. If you happen to get there, just to feel the weight of the head not needing to hold itself up, or you can just dangle the chin in towards the chest. And we'll take 5 breaths there into the back body. You might be feeling something in the hips as well. Opening up across the kidney band and stimulating the adrenals. And we're still got some feet into hibernation, into these opportunities for withdrawing and rest, even though we're looking forward with maybe some impatience to what is coming down the road. Just letting it all be here in the middle for one more inhale. And exhale, release. And take the props, anything out of the way there for a moment. Lean back again with the hands, fingertips, or palms, and take the feet wide apart. We'll drop the knees over towards the left and press the right shin to the floor. Give that an active press so the right hip lifts up a little bit, and we'll take 3 breaths on this side. And just let the weight of the right hip be heavy, even though it's lifted off the floor. So we're not getting a big low back arch. Let the in-breath bring the right knee up, and the left knee will follow. You might shift your hips a little bit, adjust your hands. You might be up on the left fingertips. Press the left shin towards the floor. Might flex both feet, reaching out through the left knee, and you can heavy the left hip a little bit. You might feel just a different sensation along that left quad and outer thigh, and the breath is coming into the digestive organs on the left side for another inhale. And exhale back to center. Just flop them over to the left. Inhale, center, and over to the right. Center again, one more time, over to the left. Inhale and over to the right. We'll meet in the middle and come over to the hands and knees. Just do a couple of cat and cow here. We'll be coming to standing shortly. I'm using fists or fingertips so that my wrists aren't too bothered, and we'll squeeze the shoulder blades together and peel the belly up and back into cat. Move in any way that feels nice here, coming forward on the inhale, spreading through the sits bones, and then let the tailbone initiate the rest of the spine following along. You might have a wide tabletop or a longer one, or you can bring the hands in really close, and the hips can shift forward and back as well. You want to feel that moving back towards a child's pose or a stretch out of the ankle. And then let's barrel roll the chest around. So pull up on the right side. And then as you come on the left, let your chest start to drop and dip. As if you have something in the middle of yourself, a ball that's rolling around there. That barrel loop. And if that description doesn't mean anything to you, then we're just moving around the shoulders and the hips in some circles and changing direction. No need to follow any particular breath on this, just a couple more times. Let's walk the hands over towards the right and send some weight back towards the heels. And then shift forward on that diagonal to the right. and send some weight back towards the heels. You might have something underneath your knees. I've got a carpet here, so that's the only reason I don't have a blanket underneath my knees. Exhale. And one more time on the diagonal. Come back, either sitting right back towards the heels, or you can stay in that more seat up position. Find somewhere to rest your forehead, so you can make a fist with your right hand, or you can bring in block or pillow there. Crawl the left fingers a little further forward. And then we'll take 3 breaths on this side, settling the body. Can you use the breath as an anchor? Something to invite the attention to rest on, even while thoughts are very alive and well. And if it's not the breath, then it can just be sensations in the body. Let's walk it back up through center and over to the other side. Might come over to 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock on this side. Actually, yeah, I think I've got the clock right. Oh, I'm losing it. And then the diagonals coming back to the right and then forward on that diagonal, shifting the hips back towards the right and then inflating over towards the hands. A couple more times, moving through, getting a bit of a pulse or a pump of the digestive organs there. So you can go at a little quicker pace if you like that. Then we'll sit all the way back towards the heels and find somewhere for your forehead to rest. It could be on your left forearm or fist. Crawl the right fingers a little further forward. Taking our time to stay in these postures now so we can really see what is here. Getting interested in right and left side variabilities. One hip more tender than the other. Or a foot, shin or ankle. Take another breath on this side. Through center. Breathing, and let's curl the toes under. Before we come to standing, let's stretch out the bottoms of the feet. Walking the hands in pretty close. And let your head just be heavy in a child's pose. Position with your spine in flexion. If you feel interested in feeling more sensation in the bottoms of the feet, then walk the hands up. Bring the shoulders up and down the back a few times, just circle that out. If you need to take a break from the feet, then you can come up to a higher kneeling stand or just come back to the tops of the feet. We're going to stay here for a little bit of time, seeing if we can find some gratitude towards this bottom part of our structure, the soles of the feet, the arches, spaces between the toes, all of the sensory receptors right now that are getting a wake-up call that connect with all of our organs. Start at the bottom of the feet. Let's take one more breath. Bring the shoulders to the ears. And exhale, let that go. Come back to hands and knees and wrap the feet out there. So we're going to come up to standing for just a short bit, and maybe you curl the toes under again and start to bring some weight back towards the heels, or just come to one side and slowly make your way up to standing. If it feels good to move it through a forward fold, so everybody can just take a minute to get there, however you like. If you're dangling your head, if that feels okay for your upper body, your arms might be somewhere near the ground or taking hold of opposite elbows. You can let your knees be deeply bent. Our hamstrings are tight, so that let this just be about the spine, having a release and shifting the weight forward and back through the feet. There's a bit of a press in the belly against the thighs, so those organs are getting more stimulation again. Releasing the arms and take a breath in. If you're down here, on empty, exhale and roll all the way up. Maybe you need to breathe halfway. And take your time to come up to stand. And so if you do have a strap or a long sock, let's bring it. Actually, let's just put that off to the side for a moment. Bring the feet so that they're a little further than hips distance apart, just comfortably. And we're going to start to swing. We're going to do this for a couple of minutes. So it's really slow and loose. And there's not a ton of movement in the feet. So they're not fixed to the ground. But most of the movement is going to be in the thoracic spine. I'm just starting really slowly here, and you can notice one heel lifts off the ground and then the other one. And so the intention here is to just start to get the chi moving, the energy, the prana, some circulation. And if you're getting okay with this, the arms kind of flying around, they're actually giving some stimulation to those organs in the back body. So as long as you're not getting super dizzy here, just keep going with it. You might notice other things happening in the head, neck, and shoulders. Experiment with letting the arms kind of fling around higher up. So you can make a fist with your hands so that the thumbs actually give yourself a little punch or a love tap there in the upper respiratory area. And that might be in the upper back as well. But if your shoulders are really tight, just keep the arms low. Just a few more circuits here. A few exhales now, some stale air. Good, and then slow it down. Let's come to standing and feel maybe a little bit of vibration, or there could be an emotional tone to all of that. The pace of the breath might have speeded up a bit. Just let it settle, the energy, and anything going on above the neck is just dropping right into that deep roots, settling down back in the body. Let's just bounce a little bit, a few shakes. So I'm just lifting up off my heels and loosening up any pace, just letting the shoulders jiggle, let some things roll off the back. And it may be some more exhales, and you can make some sound too, if you feel like it. Shaking the fingers, the jaw, maybe sticking the tongue out. Shake, shake, shake. So this is helping get all of the fluids, the collagen moving through the body and through the joints to support all of that. All these things that have dry out a little bit with the season and the weather. And then slow that down again. And just let your arms slowly come to settle. Deep breath in through the nose and exhale with the lips. Parted, sigh it out. One more time, breathing in and breathing out. Let's take the hand, whichever hand you like, but we're going to go clockwise, just to massage the digestive organs. Let's do both hands. So have one hand on top of the other. It'll be not you're not trying to squeeze anything out. So it's light, it's on the surface, just going clockwise around so that we go down on the descending colon, that's the left side, and then up on the ascending colon. And we'll do that for a little bit of time as well, assisting with the flow of all of the things that we're digesting, that we've eaten, or the fluids, or the thoughts and emotions as well that can get just stuck. It's all in the body. Let's do about 10 more rounds on this. Light surface. Doesn't need, we're not trying to force anything. Okay, so now if you have that strap, let's just take it. And if you were in a class earlier this week, we might have done a little bit of the shoulder work here. Let's take the arms up and then bring them just behind. I'll just kneel down just so that I'm fully in the picture. Just bring them back a little bit so you can adjust the strap. If you feel your whole back starts to arch, then hit the ribs down and move it back a little bit more. And maybe a little bit more. You might need to go wider. Bring it all the way down. We'll do a few of these, seeing if we can move it up and back, and you can pause anywhere you like. Reaching up and reaching back. For me, I do, just being used to doing breath flow in those vinyasa classes, like to breathe in one way and breathe out the other way. If that's natural for you. And then bring the strap in behind and let the hands come, fingers facing back or forward. And experiment with that and squeeze the shoulder blades together there. And just take 3 breaths there. Just 1. Lifting the sternum up and still just feeling heavy. Can be loose in the legs. Just grounding the lower body's not working. Little bend at the knees. 2. And 3. Releasing the strap and putting that off to the side. We'll use that again in a moment. A few shoulder loops again. Circle out. For a couple of shrugs. And we're going to come down now. We'll come onto the hands and knees again. Bring back in, if you like, some padding underneath the knees. And take it into a bit of a long table. And so if your wrists are tender, then you can do this from the forearms. We're going to bring the knees right together. So the knees and the feet are right together. We're just going to swing the hips over towards the right. It's not a big movement. We're not trying to get to our max flexibility here. Come back up to center and let the hips drop a little to the left. You can try it with the palms down. We'll do this a few times. If you'd rather bring the elbows under the shoulders and clasp the hands, or just in a more of a Sphinx shape, then that's just, it's the same thing. It's just a break for the wrist. So just a swing from side to side. If you're not on your forearms, come on down now. And then start to lower down. Wiggle the elbows so that they're under the shoulders or a little further forward. Stretch the legs comfortably back. They can be wider or closer together. See what's better for your lower back. So Sphinx Pose can be here. A really nice restorative version of this would be to hold the head with the hands. Ooh, my hands are cold. And maybe there's some, if you are able to try that, just give over the weight of your face, and again, any of the planning or thinking, just supporting. Not needing to give energy to any of that, but it's okay for it to be here, but allowing without abandoning. If you're feeling tenderness in the low back, then try walking the elbows further forward, or you might even rest your forehead down, fist on fist. And still in the Sphinx Pose, still bringing some massage to the internal organs in the front body and some subtle opening of the heart. The anchors of breath or field of sound. Just taking in whatever sounds come to the ears. Let's take another breath in this shape. Exhale to lower. Slide the hands back and we'll press up into either a puppy pose so the hips can stay above the knees with the arms forward, or come all the way back. Your knees can be together or apart. You can use any of your props if you'd like a pillow behind the knees or something underneath the forehead. And the arms can be forward, or you can, if you're resting your forehead right down and want to bring them back towards your feet. Just taking the time to have a counter pose to the back bend there. Noticing what's here. And you can even make note of that if there's impatience or boredom, or worry about something that's yet to come. Just note and return to anchors of sound or breath, or just the body and the shape. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Start to shift back towards the heels or over to one side. To come onto seat. Let's come back to having a pillow or a blanket, something that's going to be down the center of your mat, and then another one might have been the way you had it set up initially. I'm coming to sit right beside the support, the pillow or the blanket. So my knees are facing the side. I'm on my left side. There's going to be some space to tuck my left shoulder between the pillow for my head and the pillow that's going to be underneath the rib cage on this left side. So I'm going to slide that shoulder under and then position the pillow so that it's the height that we're in the position to support the head a little bit. If you don't need that, that's fine too. Your head can be right on the ground. The idea here is to close off a little bit the left side of the lungs, rib cage, so the right side of the lungs can have some more freedom. And that could include reaching the right arm beyond the space and resting it. If you have furniture in your space, and that can be really nice, just to grab the leg of a chair or rest your hand on a couch or a book, something. Try not to be rolling onto your tummy or onto your back, but just on your sideline. Might feel some intensity here as we stay for a couple minutes. The right leg can also be more extended, or both legs. I did a big wipeout this week and landed on my left hip. There's a little bump and a bruise, so definitely not going for that straight leg version with the bottom leg. So I'm only sharing that just so that you do the same thing with yourself, to just investigate what is appropriate and nurturing right now, especially if it's hard to go easy on yourself. We're used to being active and doing and trying to get things accomplished. So this is not easy to just be. And the bellows of the lungs opening and closing is something to come back to. Just taking 2 more breaths on the side. And bring the limbs in, if they've been extended, pressing up. You might just flip over to the other side. I'll just bring it over so that I'm facing camera here and set up. So if you're using a pillow for the head, something to support the rib cage. Might not be the same configuration as me. The right shoulder is going to tuck under. I'm trying to set up the spine so that it's side lying. And from there, and it may be different. One side you might extend, or maybe you have a shoulder injury and want that arm just to rest at the side. Otherwise, the arm can dangle above the head. If it's just hanging in space, then see if you can find some way to rest it. You might have to put a couple of books or a blanket under there, or grab a piece of furniture. Decide on the position of your legs, if you're stretching out or not. These postures change with the length of time that we hold them, maybe gain some momentum or intensity just because the breath is articulating its way through this side of the lungs. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side. And then press things back to center. Knees together again. Your top hand presses and lifts back up. Anything you'd like to do in center? You might lean back and give your legs a shake or a drum or a windshield wiper. Or you might have something else. We're going to come on to the back now. Jeff, you can come up wherever you're going. On to the back then. And the strap, have that with you. Have your pillows around. We might near the bottom of your mat, unless you want something underneath your head now. just in case you want to grab those. So coming onto the back, we're going to work into the hips a little bit. Once you're on your back, we'll bend the right knee in towards the chest and just give that a squeeze. And keep the left foot on the floor. We'll slide the band or strap, if you have it, around the sole of the right foot and reach that leg up towards the ceiling. I'm wrapping my hands around the strap a couple of times just so that I don't have to use a lot of hand strength, and letting the elbows just be heavy so the arms aren't working too much. So the leg may not look straight, but we're working to find some space behind the knee. Let's try doing a few pulses. So bend it just a little bit and then lengthen it. I hesitate to say the word straighten because sometimes that feels like it's a pressure to have it look a certain way. We want to feel like the femur bone is dropping into the hip socket and right into the center of the earth. So a couple of times, just a subtle bend of the knee and then lengthening, something feeling in the hamstring. We are getting a stretch behind the knee, that area there, and not pulling the leg towards us so that we feel something unpleasant up at the attachment point at the top of the hamstring and buttock area. Let's take a couple breaths there. So it might be nice to use the pillow to tuck it or something, blanket beside your right hip. So if we take both ends of the strap into the right hand and we open up the right leg a little bit, then there's something there to meet it so the leg doesn't just fall all the way down. So we're not just getting into straining of that joint. And the left leg can stay bent or that leg can straighten out. We're only going so far as the left outer hip does not lift off the ground. So there's not a ton of movement usually. If you have a wall right there where your foot is open, then that's great too. You can just push against that, or a couch if you're in a smaller space. I've got my right elbow on the floor so that it's just acting as a brake. If you don't have the strap, you can just hold your outer right thigh, might be nice too. Let's take another breath there. And exhale, bring that leg back up. And then take both ends of the strap in the left hand and just bring it a few inches over to the left. So it's really small. You can use your right thumb and your right hip crease to wrap the outer right hip down towards the floor and just stay there with the back of your right seat is still on the ground, just breathing along that IT band. If you'd rather, you can bend the knee and support the knee with your left hand, and you might even try that. Just it's a little different stretch. You might get in a little deeper, but we're still not trying to lift up that right hip. Just feeling some length from the heel of the right foot or the knee of the right leg down to the right outer hip for another breath there. Release that leg back and squeeze it into a few circles of the right ankle. Spreading the toes. Let's bend the left knee and cross the right ankle above the left knee and press the right thigh away. So it's that familiar figure four, rocking a little side to side with the left foot on the floor, or bringing the left knee towards the chest, just a little bit even. You can just use your hands here and keep encouraging the right inner thigh away from center, or thread the needle with your hands or with the band or sock that you were using for 3 breaths here. Releasing the Left foot to the floor. So cross the right knee over the left knee. And this is, you may not need to cross the knees or want to. I'm going to take one of my pillows over to the left side and shift my hips to the right, and then walk my knees to come over towards the left onto that pillow. Use the left hand to rest along the right outer thigh and reaching the right arm away. So right away, you'll know this may be too deep of a twist, or if your right shoulder is lifted up, just come to bending both knees, or you can stick the pillow between your knees instead. Knees can be higher or lower, so just adjust so you can soften into this shape. Maybe looking over the right arm. Lots of start overs, beginnings, new beginnings again. Resting awareness, embodied mind. One more inhale. And exhale, come back. Give it a shake, a swing, or a knee squeeze before we do the second side. Let's take the strap around the left foot, reach that heel up, and lengthen that out. Adjust your hands on the strap, so minimize the work that you're doing here. And toes are actively drawing towards the face, heel is reaching up, and we'll just find the position for that leg so it's aiming above the hip, the femur bone dropping into socket. The right knee is bent for just to get started into that. If you're more flexible in the hamstrings, you want to straighten out the right leg, you can do that. Taking a few breaths here, opening up that whole back line of the leg behind the knee. That could include some subtle bending and then straightening. Just to feel the difference. Apply some gas pedal. And then whatever you had over by the right hip, if you've got something, or maybe you have a wall on this side or a couch, something to jam in beside your hip or your foot as you take both ends of that strap into the left hand. And just open up this leg a little bit. The right leg can straighten, or just the knee can fall open to the right. The right hand can help the right hip to be just heavy, resting on the ground. Minimum effort here, so great if you do have something under the left hip or a wall there. Let's bring the leg back up and both ends of the strap into the right hand now. Left thumb in the left hip crease. Take it a few inches to the right. As much of the back hip on that left side still on the ground as possible. It doesn't matter the position of the right leg. If it's bent, it can kind of fall into center, so it feels like you're scissoring inner thighs. You could also bend the left knee and work a little more in that range of feeling length from the knee to the outer left hip, hugging back and down. Another breath on this side. And release that leg, bring the knee to the chest and circle out the left ankle. And bend the right knee, cross the left ankle above the right knee. Find the center line, your tailbone, the sacral bones on either side come to rest. And either stay there or thread the needle. See if you can keep your lower back in a neutral. The ribs are dropping, but there's still a little space there. So try not to curl the tailbone towards the ceiling. Exhale and release and uncross. And again, might take the legs and arms in the air and shake, or do a windshield wiper. Let's all hug the knees in and rock a little side to side. Now, you can have pillows on either side of your hips for our setting up for our final little bit. And this will take us into rest. Another way of getting into this, if you have the strap, if you do have that strap around the front of your ankles, move that out of the way. I'm going to come down and hold the strap with both hands. Have your heels pretty close to your seat. So this is a nice way to do a bit of supported bridge. So just press the hips up. You don't have to go to your highest, but pull back on the strap. So the strap is around the front of your ankles. And you might wiggle your shoulders underneath yourself a bit here. And then slowly lower that down. And you can just use the strap, bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees fall open. You're kind of pulling on the strap. You might have your fists, might be enough to support underneath your thighs. Or if you prefer, with those two cushions, to bring them underneath your upper thighs, and you can let go of the strap. If you don't feel like hip opening is what you need right now, then there'll be something else. You can slide the pillows just underneath your thighs and let your legs be soft and long, adjusting your shoulders and just dropping into a rest and digest posture for the next couple of minutes. And I'll ring the bell to bring us in and again to bring us out to close the practice. I'll just be silent after the bell. And just to honor our time here, in a moment you'll hear the sound of the bell. But should you wish to stay longer in this posture, please feel free. Otherwise, just allow your attention to rest on the sound of the bell, just as we did at the beginning, just as long as it holds you there. And bringing some circulation back to the face, the jaw, opening and closing it wide. Just do little scrunches. Fingers and toes. Removing any props. Just being aware of your surroundings. You might even blink open your eyes before you get up, just to see where things are. Rolling over to either side with the knees bent in the rescue pose. And lifting up from there. Just to take a moment before we all exit and move into the next phase of our afternoon, to rest the palms in the lap or at the heart center and acknowledge that we are in community practicing and supporting each other. You guys support me so much. So some gratitude for your own effort and for the group together here this morning. And may the merits of our practice in some way have a ripple effect, like a pebble dropped in the lake to make those waves out to other beings on our journey this afternoon or beyond. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. Namaste. It's coming to the screen to end the recording.